it's Stuart. In this video, I wanted to help you figure out if a UX Design Bootcamp program is the right choice for you. If you didn't see my previous video, I shared a little bit about my background. I didn't start out in design. I was actually more in business, and then I made a transition into UX design through a bootcamp program. It was a 12-week course, fully immersive, full-time, and I did it at General Assembly here in Boston. I personally had a great experience, and that investment for me has been the gift that keeps giving. So in my network, a lot of people know this about me, and the question I often get is, Stuart, should I take a bootcamp program as well? Because I'm considering a transition, I'm not so happy with my current job. What do you think? I love this question, and I've met up with a lot of people to talk through it. But it's also a very loaded question, so I prefer to do this in person where I could ask a lot of questions about your current situation, your design skills, where you are at, your motivation for transitioning, and of course where you're trying to go and how clear that vision is for you. And then, and only then, can I really insert my perspective on one of these programs to see if it's the right fit for you. But in this video, we really can't have that sort of conversation. So what I'm gonna try to do instead is break down what a UX Design Bootcamp program is for, in the hopes that you will get what you need to help you figure out if it's the right thing in your narrative. In my opinion, the promise of a UX Design Bootcamp program is to equip you and train you with the most contemporary and practical toolkit so you can be employed as a designer right after the program. And this isn't for you to get an unpaid internship and count that as success, or for you to just get a part-time job, but this is for you to get a full-time role as a designer at some company. And I know it's crazy because it's only a 12-week course, and it's hard to imagine that a 12-week course can get you there, but it worked for me, and I'm sure it could work for you. It's more the matter of, does it fit into your professional narrative? So if what I just shared caught your attention, then let's get into the details of a UX Design Bootcamp program. The best way for me to explain the different types of classes is in 3 levels. Level 1 is introductory. If you're just trying to understand what design is, if you want to get a little bit of exposure into the different concepts and methodologies, you're going to be at level 1. And this is going to be a one-night seminar, possibly a weekend intensive. At max, it's going to be a week-long intensive. You're not going to have much output, but you're definitely going to be exposed to everything. Level 2 is the part-time program, and I had a chance to TA for one of these. It's going to be a couple of nights a week for a couple of months, maybe 3 months, and you're actually going through an accelerated program. You're going to cover all the methodologies, you're going to cover all the different concepts, and you're going to actually have a project or 2 under your belt after you finish. But it's going to be jam-packed, so there's a lot of self-study through this. There's not a lot of in-class teamwork type things. The people who generally take this is going to be a mix. I would say about 50% are people who are actually trying to make a transition into UX design, but all they need to do is create a bridge because they already have a design background of some sort, and they're trying to find something to help them augment their portfolio so that they can apply to UX design specific jobs. And of course, the other half are people who are still interested, but they probably just want a little bit more exposure than just an introductory class. And these people, they may actually move on to the immersive course later on. So that brings me to level 3. So level 3 is an immersive program, and that's what I took. It's going to be 10 to 12 weeks, full-time, 9 to 5 in class. On top of that, your own project work and your own self-study. This is the class that most people take to try and make a transition from a background that doesn't seem to really relate to design. So it makes sense. You need more dedicated time to understand the topic. You need that time to also develop a portfolio and also do all the networking to help you make that bridge into UX design. In my experience, almost 100% of the class quit their job to make the transition, so they're doing this in between instead of more formal schooling, or they found a break in their career and they're using this to come out with a different direction. Someone thought really hard about the curriculum at these UX design programs because I found it to be extremely relevant, extremely practical. You can apply it almost immediately. When I got the startup job right after the program, I felt like I could really hit the ground running right away. There are some cons though. So you're gonna get more the breadth and not the depth. So you really need to put in the time and effort to figure out, of the toolkit that they provide you, where is the gap in your understanding, and do your own self-study. I think the other part is that because it's easier to learn in a very linear way, they teach it that way. So they'll say in the UX design process, you would do something for step 1, something for step 2, then 3. But as a practitioner, I could tell you that it doesn't work like that. It's more like you have an array of concepts, methodologies, and different types of stuff in your toolkit as a designer, and then you apply it however you need to get the job done. Of course, there's general rules about, you probably want to do research before you actually design, but in terms of do 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D, you don't really have that. So you have to be cognizant of that and then be able to speak to it when you go into your interviews. And I think you being able to realize that and not fall in the naive trap and thinking that the world works that way is going to help you stand out when you interview for these companies. The structure of a UX design program, in my opinion, was very refreshing and very effective. It's not your traditional school system format where you're sitting in a chair and a teacher is just talking at you. What they try to do is actually limit the lecture time so that you have the most time to try stuff out. And I think you learn best that way, especially in adult education. They try to emulate what it's like for you to design at a company. And that's super important because there are some unique qualities to working as a UX designer that takes a lot of practice to get used to. So for instance, you're never designing on your own. You're always working in a team, and most often you're working in a cross-functional team. So in class, it's a little hard to get the cross-functional team, but they always try to make sure that you are working with your classmates and that you are working with different designers and different roles who volunteer from the industry to come in and help you and provide feedback. And all of this is super important because you're going to be honing your ability to manage different perspectives, understanding how to mobilize people, and understanding how to pitch ideas and give compelling and persuasive presentations. The last thing I wanted to mention is that a part of the curriculum, they help you create a portfolio. And this is very important because you need a portfolio for you to interview. And it takes a lot of work to create a portfolio. And at these programs, you're gonna have industry professionals who understand what the companies are looking for. You also have career counselors who step in to help you figure out how best to position yourself. And all of that is very important. If you are taking some sort of online format, you wouldn't be able to get that sort of help and that sort of perspective to make your portfolio that much more effective in the marketplace. Networking is a major value of these UX design programs. If you're making a career transition from a field that's not really related to UX design, it's not just about what you know and how good you are. It's also about who you know and how you know them. And UX design programs is kind of the hub for these networking opportunities. They have connections to different companies that are looking for designers and that hire from the program. And they have career counselors who put on different types of events so you can get exposed to all the different types of roles and jobs out there. And all of that is super valuable opportunity for you to cultivate meaningful relationships in the industry. And this isn't just about you getting that job. Also, for you to be able to get maybe a peek into what it's really like as a practitioner and the difference between what you're learning in class and from a book versus what it's really like to actually be at a company and designing within a development team. Also, the teachers are really experienced. They seem to have a knack for attracting top quality instructors. They have unbelievable insight into what it's like as a designer, and they can also help you figure out what type of role might be a right fit, what type of designer you might want to be, and what types of companies would be the right type of company for you. And you can't forget about the classmates. They're going to be your fellow designers after the program is over. And even for me, I keep in touch with a lot of my classmates. I do that to knowledge share, also share opportunities. I've even collaborated with a couple of them on different projects. If I took an online class or any other format, I don't know if I would have had those sort of relationships and those sort of foundational networks built before I started off as a designer.